Last call for raffle tickets.
All right. Should be live streaming now.
Oh boy. So welcome to yet another meeting of the Los Angeles Astronomical Society. I'm going to start by informing you, those of you who don't already know it, I'm obviously not Daryl, and I'm obviously not Alicia, because neither one of them could be here. And so here I am once again, standing in front of the auditorium, pretending to know what I'm doing.
Thank you, Daryl.
Let me start, as usual, by asking if there are any new members here in the auditorium. Way back in the back. So tell us who you are. So you're going to need my microphone. Okay. Hang on a second. There you go. Just talk in like this.
Sandy Reposh recently relocated to the LA area from Pennsylvania, where I belong to the Astro Imaging Club out there. I do some visual, but mostly astrophotography, and I couldn't wait to join a local group here. And I'm planning on coming to the next star party and setting up for visual. Thank you. I'm not too good on the stairs here.
I got it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Are you new members? Anybody new members up here? Okay. You didn't have to come up, Tim. I got to get you halfway. There you go. And another new member.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Rich. I'm not exactly a new member. I've been a member, but I haven't been able to get out here because I have a little one. So this is my first meeting. But yes, I look forward to actually getting out to star parties and such. Thank you.
Now, are there any other new members or maybe old members who just haven't been here in a long time? Another one? Okay. Yeah, we got the places crowded.
Renteria Heven.
Thank you. I'm Alan Abrams. I'm an old member back in the 50s, and then went to school and got busy with life. I'm formerly a member of the Polaris Observatory Association that had a Lockwood Valley Observatory, and now I'm a member of Ventura County Astronomical Society, and it's kind of like a homecoming coming back to the Griffith Observatory. And I'm not so active observing it these days. It's harder to get around, but I enjoy coming up here. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you got from the eclipse and everything.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else here in the auditorium? Okay, how about out there? Oh, we do have one. Okay, we have one more. Hang on a minute. We're inundated with new people, which is good.
Well, hello. My name is Benjamin Hahn. I've been in LA for pretty much all my life. Recent graduate from UC Irvine, and there I've been part of the university's astronomy club for all 4 years. And yeah, I'm excited to be part of the club.
Thank you. Yes, you have to speak into the microphone like this. Zoomies won't hear you. Now they probably all need hearing aids. So anybody else in the room? How about out there in Zoom world, Spencer? Do we have any new members or old members who don't like coming to meetings?
I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. Let's see. I'll probably offend somebody if I call them a new member. They've been an old member. So let's see. Anybody? Don't be shy. Okay. All right. I think,
Uh-huh.
I think that's it.
Nobody?
Nobody.
Okay. So are there any important announcements that need to be made? I don't know of any offhand. Oh, well, yes, it's this Saturday, right? The Public Star Party at Griffith this Saturday. Remember that there is an event at the Greek Theater, and so get here. What's that?
There's also Ford Observatory is going to be open on Memorial Day.
Yes. In that, I think you're going to get an email. And Curtis is going to send out an email announcing that, and you should answer them because there's a little bit of a limit on how many people they can handle. Can't have the whole club try to descend on Ford Observatory. That won't work. But yeah, it will be open. And is there anything else?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. And remember, the meeting is being recorded, so, watch your language. When the speakers come on, we will ask everybody to mute, or maybe Spencer will just mute you whether you like it or not. And we have, I think, 7 or 8 minutes per speaker. And I guess we might as well go ahead and start.
Okay, let me share my screen for a second. Can everybody see the agenda on there?
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as the speakers start, I'll post a link for the door prize drawing for those of us out in Zoom land. But so this was the original order. We're changing a lot. Evan's going to go last since he's busy keeping the meeting going from the control room. So so this is the order. So we'll start with David, then Michael, Laura May, Nassir, Michael Jackson, Everado, Vincent, and Kelly. Okay. And
sounds like a winner.
Sounds like a winner. All right. So David, you want to take it over?
All right. I'm sharing my screen first.
You stop sharing. Okay.
And let me just make sure I got the right screen. I think it's that one. Share. And then let me bring up PowerPoint and go into slideshow mode. All right. Are you seeing the full screen of my presentation?
Yes.
All right. So these are Eclipse recollections from my hometown. I grew up in Rochester, New York. And so I wanted to actually share this eclipse with my family. And so I decided to go there. Rochester, you're not aware of it. It's on Lake Ontario in upstate New York, between Buffalo and Syracuse. This was my third total solar eclipse. Prior to this, I was fortunate to see 2 under perfect conditions. I was in San Jose del Cabo, Mexico for the July 11th, 1991 eclipse, and then also Jackson, Wyoming for the 2017 eclipse, and some pictures that I had taken at both events I'm showing here. Now, I chose Rochester mainly because it's my hometown. I wanted to share this with my family, most of whom still live in the area. And this includes my soon-to-be 100-year-old dad. He was 6 months old the last time a total solar eclipse went over Rochester, New York. And so he missed that one. And so I was really kind of hoping he could have a chance to see this. And while Rochester is not well known for its great weather, historically, if you look at the historical cloud cover data for April 8th, it really was not too much worse than what they were predicting for Texas. So, about a 60% chance of clouds, 40% chance of clear. So Sunday, the day before the eclipse, it was spectacularly clear. It was one of those very rare days in Rochester. So cloudless sky. And then Tuesday, the day after the eclipse, it was also spectacularly clear. On eclipse day, it started promising. We had some blue sky and some high cirrus clouds. And then the clouds built and built and built. And by the time of first contact, we had nothing. You couldn't even see anything through the layer of clouds. And here's a satellite view of what was going on. We had about this 8-hour block of clouds that was centered during the mid eclipse, pretty much over Rochester, but that moved through. And to add insult to injury, about 90 minutes after totality, I shouldn't say after the end of the last contact, then we saw the sun again. So we were just completely and absolutely skunked for this eclipse. So given that, I had to improvise for my family to let them know what was going on above the clouds. And so I used some of the treats that we had. But I will say is my clan had a really good time. There's my dad, 99 years young. He looks a lot younger than that. And along with him, I really wanted to celebrate this with my great nieces and nephews. And they really did have a wonderful time, despite the fact that we got to see nothing. I do want to say, though, and this is my last slide, so I'll yield the rest of the time of my presentation to others. But despite the clouds, this total solar eclipse did provide one of my favorite eclipse moments ever. During totality, it got very, very dark, and my 4-year-old great nephew, shown there on the right, was running around saying, "I can't see a thing, I can't see a thing." And then once totality ended, under the cloudy skies, we didn't see anything of it, and it starts to brighten up. He turns to the group and he goes, "Do that again." And I really wish that I had that power. He's got another 20 years. He'll have a chance to hopefully see some in the United States. I hope I do too. I think Dad's going to have to travel internationally if he's going to want to see one. But anyways, it was a wonderful moment, and I did really enjoy being with family. I do wish the sky had been a little more cooperative on the day of the eclipse, like it was on the day before and the day after. And so that's my story. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. Okay, I am going to, since I've got a bunch of time, I'm going to point just one other thing out. In this picture back here, for those of you who might have listened to my story about Lewis Swift, so this seems like an odd picture to take, but this is this gate on the left-hand side is what remains of the Warner Observatory. Swift's Warner Observatory was actually back off to the left in this image toward that building that you see. That was raised a long time ago. But Lewis Swift, with his 16-inch refractor that eventually ended up down at the Mount Lowe Observatory, above Altadena. This was the site of that in Rochester, New York, and that stonework for the gate is actually from that time. So that's what remains of the Warner Observatory in Rochester, New York. All right, if there's no questions, I will pass it on.
Is there a question in the auditorium? I don't see any.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, next is Mike.
Right. Let's just share the desktop. Why not? So, can people see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll charge on. Okay,
Yep.
For this year's eclipse, I decided to go to Waco, Texas. I kind of hemmed and hawed about this for a long time, which helped me eliminate some options. If you procrastinate long enough, you close down the number of choices you have. But I decided that Waco, it looked like Texas was the destination, and it was pretty much a crapshoot as far as I could tell. It seemed like a lot of the places were around 50% chance of clear skies, and it's like, yeah, it's a coin toss. So I really talked myself into believing that maybe I'll have totality and maybe I won't. It'll just get dark. But this is the way it was going to be. So my wife joined me. She became a convert after the 2017 eclipse. which she thought was just going to be a trip for her to Yellowstone and Glacier, and she wound up being the first one on board for the 2024 eclipse. So if an eclipse can excite somebody like my wife to go see an astronomy event, you know it's got to be something really, really special. So let's see here. So I was traveling light. I wasn't going to drive there. We're just going to fly. We rented a hotel in Waco. One of the things, kind of a lesson learned from 2017, was there were various horror stories about hotel reservations with local companies that didn't that basically sold the reservation out from under you. And so the lesson learned there was go with a national chain. Your at least odds of getting a room canceled out from under you are less in that case. So we were at a Hilton. This was my suitcase. I had a carry-on, which was what I wore, and I had my important stuff, which is what I checked. This is what it was like. We just set up out on the sidewalk in front of the hotel. I had my main camera was a full frame Canon R6 with a 300 millimeter focal length telephoto on that. I was running that from a new Mac program called Capture Eclipse. And it was very much, there was a previous Mac program that wasn't kept up to date and doesn't run on the current machines anymore. This one has pretty much the same functionality. So the video I'll show at the end is basically stitching together the images that were taken from first contact through fourth contact, including different levels of exposure during totality, and kind of everything stitched together in one thing. I had a tripod with binoculars. The sun was like directly overhead. So when we used binoculars for totality, we just took them off the tripod and didn't strain our necks too much. I had a wide angle camera I was intending to set up to try to get the kind of the arc of the eclipse. But it was so cloudy at the start that I said, I'm not going to waste any time with that. And 10 minutes before first contact, this is what the sky looked like. Now, it looked like there was a potential for some clearing around totality itself. But again, it was really hard to tell from the forecasts. So 10 minutes before totality, this is what we had. Now, what you can't really see is in the wide shot was everything kind of to the left, of the upper left was cloudy, and everything to the right and lower right was clear. So there was hope. 5 minutes before totality, the clouds cleared, and this is what we were presented with. So you can still see there were still some high cirrus clouds, and that shows up in some of the longer exposures to get the corona. You'll see that those have the effects of the upper level haze. And the one photo you tried to take at the middle of totality for Earthshine turned out like that. So there was some high level haze, but frankly, visually, this is what we saw. I don't know whether you can pick it up on the screen, but kind of at 4 o'clock to the left of to the right of totality is Venus in the sky. There may have been other stars, but this is what I saw. So with that, what I want to do is attempt to show a video here, and we'll see how this goes. This is about a minute and a half, so we'll see how it plays. music used without permission. But other than that, we got the full totality. You could see during the partial phases, the clouds kind of came in and kind of went out towards the end of the partial phase, just before C4. We're getting more clouds coming through. And about 2 hours after the eclipse was over, we had a nice Texas downpour. So we lucked out. I would have been, I think I would have been happy. I'd done enough prepping of myself. I would have been happy with just the dark, but it was a spectacular sight, and that's what I have to share.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions?
Any
Okay,
questions in the auditorium? I don't see any.
all right, the next next three are going to be, next four are going to be in
Oh,
person.
hang on a second. Somebody has a question.
Okay.
Nassir. Okay. Nassir has a question.
My question is, your video looks pretty good. What camera and what exposure settings were used for that?
So the video is primarily stitching together still images. And during totality, the images were actually a variety of different HDR stacks, going further and further into a long exposure. So basically, I would take a series of exposures from, about a 200th of a second up to a third of a second, and make HDR stacks of more and more of the exposures, and that was what the progression was. So that was not any actual video. It was all stills, just edited together.
Good, great.
Okay, so next is Laura May in person.
Do I go up to the lectern?
Yeah, Laura May will present in person.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
If that doesn't work, you could always use the.
Oh, okay, cool, great. Hello, everyone. So, as you set out for totality. So first, I want to tell you that usually this is what I'm doing in Texas in April. I'm a tornado chaser. So when this eclipse came about in my mind a little while back, and when I started seriously looking at the weather, I was like, wait a minute, this is going to be interesting. Although, to be fair, this picture was taken in May. Usually May magic is when we tornado chase. But I was aware of the enormous challenges, as I'm sure all of you were. So the first models were released, I think the first ones I had were on 31st of March, and then I had one, this one was from April 3rd. And yeah, I don't know. Did anyone else here kind of see all those models and have a slight panic? Yes, I think everyone in the groups on Facebook and everything was like, oh my God, because the entire path was pretty much clouded over at that point. And again, lots of different, I'm used to looking at weather models. My tornado crew, Quebec Vortex, they were very, very helpful. We spoke about it a lot. But I had at the time been kicking myself because I had booked, I had booked very last minute, like 2 months prior or something. I had booked an Airbnb down in San Antonio for me and a couple of I kind of planned a trip for several of my other colleagues here at the observatory. And a couple days before I started thinking, this is not looking very promising. So kept looking at all the weather models and started assessing different ideas. So this is a helpful map on the left that my friend Sammy made, because at the time we were thinking, well, should we just go down to Mexico? I had not wanted to fly because I have an enormous Lunt 80 H alpha. I had a lot of equipment, etc. So we were thinking about driving. And I'm not from America, but I do know that driving down to Mexico has, you know, with a lot of equipment and expensive things, could be perilous. So yeah, my friend Sammy noted all the dangerous areas, and we were like, you know, maybe not. So then I, of course, looking at all the models as they were updated, Arkansas started appearing pretty early as the most promising land. So I I honestly was up pretty much every night trying to look at weather models and trying to figure out where to go, and looking at hotels and things for a couple days prior, and settled on more or less Arkansas, figuring we can go south if it's clear in Texas, we can go north, we're kind of in the middle of that path. So this was kind of when we got the latest short-range model, and it was starting to be a little better. Arkansas was starting to be a little more confirmed, but it was certain that some of the path was going to have difficulties. I'd made a group chat for people at the observatory because we had a live stream at the observatory going on as well. So we were all discussing all of this. Yeah, at that point, honestly, I was incredibly sleep deprived. This is what it all looked like, I think, to all of us. And I think everyone who was in those groups kind of felt the same, that we just didn't really know. It was all pretty unpredictable. So the day arrived. We were in a place called Petit Jean Park, or as the Arkansas PD said, Petit Jean. And so I had collected a variety of items. I was trying this year to bring new items with holes. I had like a lamp. I had a variety of things. I'm sure my flatmates were missing half of our kitchen. I had a belt, trees. This was not bring your own, fortunately. Let's see. And then this was something I had found a couple days prior, why every observatory needs a disco ball. And so it was a paper discussing how to use disco balls as basically these little pinhead projectors, which I thought was pretty cool. I happen to live next to someone who runs these enormous parties in LA and has a whole garage full of set decor and things like that. So found some disco balls. So I experimented with a variety of disco balls, which was pretty fun. On the right, this is me holding a sequined cushion. And it was projecting little crescents, so brought all the shiny, glittery disco things, which was pretty fun. And then use all the equipment. Don't do that. That was a lesson that I learned this time, where I think previous eclipses I was pretty reasonable and I didn't have that lunt yet. So I think previous eclipses I just had 2 tripod, one wide angle and 1 long lens, and I learned, don't do this unless you hire people or something, because honestly I was so frazzled and I was sleep deprived. I had just done an interview for KFI talking about the eclipse to people in LA, and I'll admit I think I screwed up some of my shots. Messed up some of my shots because I was just trying to handle too much equipment. So an important lesson to learn for next time. But this I was very happy about because you know, there's a lot of, I would say, famous prominences. I don't know if other people would agree, but I think, for example, the 1919 eclipse that was used to prove some of Einstein's theory had this enormous prominence. And I spotted this one the day before on Gong, and I was really hoping it was going to stick around because the prominences had been pretty small the past days. And yeah, this was taken just a couple minutes before first contact, and I feel very lucky that we had that beautiful, I call it now the ruby ring eclipse, because I felt like all of us really saw that kind of like brilliant little red spot, and it was just so incredible to see it. This is a wonderful shot by someone we met, so this was our location. A couple people came to join us, someone that I knew from the Adventurers Club in LA, pay them a visit if you've never been. So my friend Ray and his cohort. So this is a picture taken by Hal Bergman, who operated a drone during the eclipse and took these really amazing shots. I had some other my friends Sammy and Alex, who joined as well. So this was our large group, and honestly, it was really good fun. We had a lot of equipment. I have not sorted out my shots yet because my computer died a couple hours before the eclipse. So I had to scramble to use another eclipse, and my computer is still kind of not really functioning. But these were a couple fun ones that I wanted to do, showing the crescent with someone holding a filter, one of my colleagues here, one of the TDs, Michael Noble. So holding a little a filter, an infrared filter actually, showing just kind of the edge of the crescent. This was the shot I got through the H alpha. Lunt 80. So it was kind of nice. And this was something I haven't looked through yet, but I was kind of intrigued because I always try to do a wide angle shot. And this time I tried to do it on a fisheye. So this was during totality, and I don't know if it's me, but I had the feeling through all the shots, the kind of those angles of the reflection were the same, and it looks a lot like the corona. But I don't know. It might just be the effect of the flare, of the lens flaring, so I wasn't quite sure if this was because of it or not. And so this was the Fellowship of the Diamond Ring. We visited, I'm from Paris, France, so we visited Paris, Arkansas, took a picture for Griffith Observatory, different kind of city. And now I want to read to you a small poem that I reworked. Some of you may know it. This, by the way, on the left, on the right, is the Vegvisir. It is the Wayfinder rune for Icelandic people. And I superstitiously wear it every time I have an event like this. I wear it to volcanoes, to tornadoes. So I have reworked the poem Ithaca by C.P. Cavafy. As you set out for totality, hope your voyage is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Rain, Arizona PD, angry drivers, don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way, as long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and your body. Thick clouds, Arkansas PD, wild drivers, you won't encounter them unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope your voyage is a long one. May there be many eclipse mornings when with what pleasure, what joy, you enter parking lots you're seeing for the first time. May you stop at Phoenician, Arizona, trading stations to buy cheap things, souvenirs and gas, Red Bull and coffee, sandwiches of every kind, as many sandwiches as you can. And may you visit many Egyptian cities in 2027 to learn and go on learning from their scholars. Keep totality always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. But don't hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach that occultation, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting astrophotography to make you rich. Totality gave you the marvelous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. And if you find yourself poor, totality won't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you will have understood by then what these totalities mean. Thank you.
Are there any questions in the auditorium? Oh, one. Okay, Nassir. Well, you might as well come down because you're the next speaker anyway.
Hold on, you have to speak to the microphone.
Oh, I didn't realize you had a question.
Because then Zoom can't hear you.
That's right.
So my question is that you're a tornado chaser. So that's pretty exciting. I've never met anybody who chases tornado except in the movies I've seen it.
Twisters coming out soon.
Do you do this for science or for fun?
I do this for fun. My friends in Quebec Vortex, they are building a variety of projects. They, in fact, I think had a project with Reed Timmer. I do it also as part of, to me, it's part of my science career in the way of the things I'm learning. But this has been something that I've been doing for a long, it's part of why I moved to the US. Wow. I chased storms back in Europe, but we don't really have a lot of tornadoes back in Europe. So I came here and now I get to go to Tornado Alley in a couple days again.
Oh,
so,
that's a dangerous fun. So how close you get to tornadoes?
I've gone through a tornado and I would not recommend that experience to anyone.
Okay.
Here you go. Thank you. Let me mute you so you can.
Any questions on Zoom?
Do we have a question on Zoom? Okay.
No, I'm asking if there are any questions from Zoom.
Oh. We do have a question here.
Come on down, like the price is right.
I guess I'm just curious where you publish your tornado findings or
So generally, I kind of stream a large part of my chase on my Instagram, which is Laura_MAY_abracadabra. My friends from Quebec Vortex, they have a pretty big following. A lot of it is in French, but I usually put a lot of stuff in English and a lot of the photos and things like that. And I try to update people also as we go along because I think tornado chasing is kind of obscure for a lot of people, and I want to kind of demystify and show a lot of, yeah, how people do it. There's an amazing group also called Girls Who Chase. It's a big collective, and they do an amazing job. They have all these courses where they also teach you some of it and stuff like that. So yeah, just want to give a shout out to Girls Who Chase.
Were there any questions online?
No, don't see any.
Okay, let's let Nassir take over.
Okay.
It's already ready.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Nassir Jiwanji. Yes, I've been a member of LAAS for about 7 years. And yeah, this was my second eclipse to chase. First one was in Oregon. And I booked this ticket about 7 months ago. I went to Austin. Because the probability of looking cloud cover was the best in Austin, along the entire eclipse path. So I chose Austin. And then 10 days before the eclipse, I was looking at the weather, and of course it was not looking good, showing clouds and rain on eclipse day. And it didn't change until the last day. So, but looking through tons of models, the Astronomical website and this and that, and just a day before the eclipse night, I said, Paris, Arkansas looks pretty good. Let's go there. I was staying with my friend from our high school. Yeah, I've known him. And he said, no, I'm not driving to Arkansas. It's 8-hour drive. But I said, okay, we'll see. But then it's early in the morning, it looked like a town called San Sabas, about 50 miles north of Austin, was looking pretty good. So he said, okay, let's go there. We went there, it was nice and clear skies, but then it said, oh, and there was nobody there. I said, what happened? All this hype, where are the eclipse guys? So then we decided to go check out a Bend State Park, which is very close to that. And that was closed. So okay, we'll let only 50 people in, so I don't know. But anyway, then we went to another campground called Sulphur Springs Campground. So this is where we were. We set it up there, and it was very expensive. They charged like $10 per person, a campground. $50, we were 5 people. Probably eclipse price gouging. Anyway, so, and everything was looking good. Almost blue skies, a few clouds. And I said, this is an interesting cloud. So around the first contact was almost like this. And then, okay, so then the clouds started building up. And I was looking at the models, and it was showing clouds coming in. I said, oh, this was like half an hour before the totality. I said, this doesn't look good. Then I was looking at the models, and it was showing town of San Sabas, which were there early in the morning, looking good. I said, we might just make it there. It's 20 minutes drive from here, and probably get there by totality. So we packed up everything. We were there for only like an hour or less. We paid $50 for this campground. And we packed up and started chasing clouds. And we drove, and we were running out of time. We were literally chasing clouds. We could see the cloud shadow in front of us and then sun beyond that. And there was only 10 minutes left. And I said, okay, this is it. We have to stop in the middle of the road. And while we were going towards on the road, I opened the moonroof. My friend was driving, and I just took out my iPhone and started shooting. through the moon or sunroof. All these photographs are from the sunroof through my iPhone. Looks pretty dramatic. A little bit enhanced, the colors. So, and this, okay, so this was through the sunroof, and then we stopped, and on the side of the road, there was nobody there, middle of nowhere. And we waited for totality, and then it was just all these clouds. This is like a couple of minutes before totality. And I don't know, maybe this is totality, but it's all clouds. But luckily, just after totality, and this is my friend, and they are looking at it through binoculars, and voila, the clouds dispersed. And it was 4 minutes of totality, but I think we got a couple of minutes of clear skies. And this is all through my iPhone. That's Jupiter down there. Venus is hiding behind the clouds. And this is the panorama through my iPhone, just to show how dark it got. Yeah, so the one thing that was actually nice, that we actually got to see this eclipse in boonies, where there was nobody. The reason is, when the totality hit, the silence was just so noticeable, deafening. I mean, I've seen my first eclipse. There were 10,000 people, so there was no silence. But this was just crazy. It was so spooky. I mean, because all the trees around, all the insects, birds, everything just went dead, absolutely. So that was the best part of the experience of just in the middle of nowhere. And then, this is just a few minutes after totality. I was so happy. I said, look how happy I am. And it was so bright, just a couple of minutes after totality. This was in totality. So I had set up all my camera. I had a camera, a DSLR camera. I didn't bring my telescope or anything because I just flew there. But since middle of nowhere, I had no time to set up my camera, nothing. I just watched through the binoculars. It was beautiful. But my friend's son, he had a nice camera, and he had tried to shoot the eclipse. So it was through his camera. He took one shot. He got just one shot, and it's probably not even focused properly. But anyway, this is what I got. This is what we saw, and that's it. And the time went by so fast. I said, I wish I can reverse the time. But I said, no, okay. Got to prepare for Luxor, Egypt in 2027. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Nassir in the auditorium?
Oh, no, you know how to do that. Any questions?
I don't see any. Any questions online?
Doesn't look like there are any.
Okay, on to the next.
Okay, so I think Michael Jackson is next, I think. No, he's got a tornado jump down here, because you never knew you came here to learn about tornadoes, did you?
You're on.
I'm on. Good evening. My name is Michael Jackson. There's a lot of ringing. Anyway, good evening. My name is Michael Jackson. I'm an amateur astrophotographer.
You might want to move the microphone. Maybe a microphone like it has the feedback. Split them apart. Feedback. So mute yours, Tim? It is. Oh, it is. Okay.
Maybe I'll hold it here. That's better. Okay. I'm an amateur astrophotographer that's been working in visual effects for film and television for about 30 years. I picked up astrophotography, like so many, as a hobby a few years ago during COVID, during the COVID break, because it appealed to my core imaging background. I'd like to share two events that I captured these past few months. The first is the annular eclipse that occurred last October, and the second is the partial eclipse that happened in April. I use a Lunt universal telescope that can shoot solar images with an included hydrogen alpha filter, as well as or nighttime deep space and planets. For solar imaging, I use an ASI black and white camera in 16-bit mode to allow for higher dynamic range and less banding when I later process the images. I built a table for all of my electronics with a power box to supply a little micro PC on top with a Wi-Fi broadcaster. The whole system was built so that way I could remote into it with an iPad that can be used as a portable monitor and control the mount with as well as the capture software. I tested it rigorously, I promise, for more than a month, making sure that I could load it quickly and that it would be bulletproof by doing some remote sessions as well, away from my house, so that way I wasn't connected to anything. In preparation for the eclipse, I thought it would be interesting to try and shoot the moon leading into the eclipse event. I knew that in my head about the parabolic egg-shaped path that the moon took around the Earth, but I had never really seen it presented visually. So I had known how dramatically the moon changes size or wobbles while it laps around the Earth. While I was putting my movie together and couldn't figure out where to align my images, the very smart fellows here at the Los Angeles Astronomical Society were incredibly helpful, explaining libration, or the wobble that the moon has, to me in terms that I could understand. So, and sometimes in ways that I couldn't. So this movie puts together 13 images that were taken each day leading up to the eclipse, including 2 early mornings that we were on the road. One was in the Palm Desert on the first day of travel, and the second was in the parking lot of our hotel in El Paso before heading out to Roswell. The images were stabilized, aligned, and then morphed together to make a smooth transition between each of the final 15 frames, actually, with the last 2. We started our journey from Los Angeles, and we drove a full day to El Paso, which was a long one. We then traveled north to Roswell, stopping for a few hours to take in a family trip down into the Carlsbad Cavern National Park, which was fantastic if you've never seen it. We were very lucky to have gotten a very nice Airbnb with a very large backyard that had a great vantage point for the event the following day. I even checked to make sure that this gigantic 50-foot cottonwood tree in the backyard wouldn't occlude our view using a sun survey app that I had on my phone. The day of the event, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and set the telescope and equipment. It had been working without issue for weeks, leading into this day. However, Murphy's Law, which states that if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong, Murphy struck while I was setting up. The wireless function that had worked so well wouldn't broadcast, and after an hour of troubleshooting in near panic with the sunrise coming, I found a way. I unhooked my micro PC and the Wi-Fi broadcaster. I threw them in a box and plugged in a backup laptop that I brought directly into the camera. I was a bit frazzled, but the system was running. I did a rough northern alignment with a phone compass app, and manually pointed the telescope towards the sun that was just rising and set the mount to track solar, hoping that it all was not going to be lost. At 6:19, just after the sun rose and I was confirming my gear was in working order, a flock of birds that I later found out were called grackles transited and absolutely made my morning. The large band going through the sun is a power line that I shot through. It was so low. Sharp Cap is my main primary capture software, and since the licensed version was on my not in use micro PC, I used an unlicensed version on the backup laptop that unfortunately did not have the sequencer function enabled. And since I wasn't polar aligned, I had to manually adjust the telescope to keep the sun centered over the next 3 hours. I made do with the basic sequences. So exposure times were close to 1,000th of a second. So moving the telescope didn't really cause any motion blur that couldn't be averaged out later during processing. At about 9:13, the moon took its first bite out of the sun, and this movie that you're looking at right now is a result of 531 movies of 1,000 frames each that were distilled down to 531 frames that were sharpened and color processed. With the setup and gear finally working, I found periods of time to take it all in because I knew that sitting in front of the computer wasn't always going to be great. So I was sure to get a Norman Rockwell kind of photograph of my family. The lead up to the eclipse, I had read about trees casting pinhole cameras like shadows, but I'd never really experienced it until that day. And it blew my mind. So, just having seeing that stuff is just kind of neat. Sorry about the sound on that. So it really came all together during this trip. You can see the moon kind of moving away towards apogee and put it all together, kind of creatively into a movie where I put the moon and the sun all together. And it was just a great fun time for the family who, after totality, my two sons just went right back to their phones. So, but it was a great trip. And then the total eclipse, as many of you have already pointed out, I saw all the maps, and between working and not working, I wasn't able to make the trip out to Texas, so I didn't feel all that bad when I saw that I didn't. But I did stay home, and I shot it from the roof of my apartment, my townhome deck. And while shooting, I heard a plane overhead, and I was really hoping to catch the plane transiting my view of the sun, and it looked like it was almost gonna, but it didn't. I was, however, really, really pleased to see the, shit. Uh-oh, I jumped.
You might have to hit that.
Yeah, okay. So I was really pleased to see the eclipse in the lens flare of my iPhone camera, which in my head, it makes all the sense in the world that it would do that, but it just caught me off guard, and it was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. So there was that. So, and then this is the final movie that I got for the evening, and while I did forget to go and change my settings to 16-bit, and this movie's only 8-bit, so it's got some banding and whatever. I'm still really pleased with the result, which is the 58% that we got here in Los Angeles. I'm still really happy with it. And you can see that prominence that you were. So, anyway, thank you very much for your time. And if there's any questions.
Are there any questions in here? There is one.
There's a question. Yeah, you have a question. Go ahead and I'll repeat it.
Yeah. First of all, that sequence of the moon is really impressive.
Thank you.
I really like seeing that size change. Do you post your work anywhere?
I do. I post my work. I'm sorry. He was asking. He appreciated the moon movie, and yes, I post stuff on Instagram at Michael Jackson FX.
Okay.
So sure. And there's another question.
So you said that.
You have to speak in the
It's fine. I'll repeat it.
No, because then Zoom cannot hear you.
You can repeat it.
Oh.
I'm going to repeat the question.
Sorry.
Very complex, so you might not want to repeat it. I'm just kidding. Okay. I'll come down.
We're going to wait.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, that was very impressive what he said. That video was amazing. It really took my breath away, the whole compilation.
Oh, thank you.
My question though, you said that you came into LAAS like with some previous background in like animation or some
Yes,
kind of.
I work in visual effects.
So of that film you made, like 100% being all visual effects, and like how much would you say it is what you learned in the last few months or couple years of being an LAAS member?
So, like I said, I picked it up during COVID, like COVID, and so I picked up astrophotography during COVID, and being in visual effects, I have learned a lot about photography and how to go and shoot things, and so there was a bit of trial and error there, but it's literally an extension of what it is that I do. When you shoot the sun, and I wasn't polar aligned, and things were jumping all around because I'm sitting there trying to combine all of the images, my background in visual effects allowed me to go and stabilize it, allowed me to go and color correct it, to understand how to put all that stuff together. So that, the visualizing and making it, presenting it pretty, that's literally just what I do all day. So, thank you. Anyone else? Anything on Zoom?
Are there any questions on Zoom?
Doesn't look like you can chat.
No.
Okay, I
Okay.
think Kelly Rich is next.
Thank you.
Wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, we've got Vincent on via Zoom.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I remember how to share. Okay, select a window. Screen one. There. Am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
It says Total Eclipse in Mazatlan, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We decided that Mazatlan would be more interesting than Texas. So we booked a tour with a company set specifically for the solar eclipse. These folks, Ring of Fire Expeditions, they had both a cruise and a land tour. We took the land tour. It was arranged at a resort that was under construction at the time we reserved for this tour. So, you know, it was like we were literally the first weekend this resort was open. You know, they had a few delays in the constructions and so forth, and people were biting fingernails saying, oh, is it going to make it? Are we going to have to go to a backup hotel? But no, we made it. This is what the rear of the hotel looked like. Now, you know, we were the first guests the very first weekend it was open. There were a couple of other groups also there for the eclipse. They had your choice of either you can photograph the eclipse from the pool, they had a beach site a little bit south of there, or they had what they called the backup site. Now, Mazatlan, in common with many other coastal areas like Los Angeles, does get low clouds, intense low clouds, because it's by the ocean. And there was a concern that if they had an episode of this, that they need a backup location so people could see the eclipse. The backup location was maybe 10 miles inland on a farmer's field with very rudimentary facilities. They wouldn't tell us where it was for security reasons. Mazatlan is located in a Sinaloa province, which is a hotbed of drug violence, and they don't want a bunch of tourists with astronomical and photographic gear heading out in the middle of nowhere where folks know where they are going. Fortunately, we didn't have to use the backup location because the skies were pretty good the day of the eclipse. There were some high haze, but nothing that obscured, you know, your view of the beauty of the eclipse itself. They also gave you a practice day the day beforehand so you could set your equipment up and work out all the bugs in it. So the day of the eclipse, this is what I had. Tripod, Canon 6D camera, 100mm lens with a solar filter provided by Thousand Oaks Optical, and a piece of tape there because I manually focused it on infinity and wanted to make sure it didn't budge. Not visible here is my intervalometer so that I could snap pictures without having to touch anything. So there's no jiggling of the camera. Just for your information, I set the camera at ISO 400, f2.8 for no particular reason, and I bracketed the exposure time 1/60, 1/160, and 1/400. I wanted to set it up so all I had to do is push the button, take the 3 shots, wait a bit, push the button again. I didn't want to have to adjust any equipment the day of the eclipse. This is what the beach side looked like with the other photographers out there, people with some actual telescopes and other cameras. This is one of the pictures, maybe an hour or so before the eclipse. We were there about 2 hours early, so I spent a lot of time taking pictures of the moon gradually covering the sun. This is what the crowd looked like when it got very, very close to the eclipse. It's dark. It's got this interesting sort of shade to it. It's like an artificial twilight. And here's right at the eclipse. We're looking over the ocean. You can see it's actually quite dark, and there's this funny light coming on over here because the sun is actually up there, but some sunlight has already passed. Picture at totality. Here's another one, maybe a little sharper. I took this one with my cell phone camera. This is Venus. Somewhere over there is probably Jupiter, but I haven't been able to figure out. You had at the moment of eclipse, if you looked at the sun, you could very clearly see both Jupiter and Venus. This is just as the moon is passing. It's the diamond ring effect here at the end of the eclipse. You see there was somebody in a glider up there just kind of doing their own thing. At various points, they would obstruct the eclipse from us, which I fortunately was very brief. And then here's a better shot of that diamond ring effect. And that's what I got. You know, if you've got any questions, let me know.
Anybody have any questions?
Well, here's one from Laura.
Did your tripod get damaged by the sand? Because sand seems to be a liability for so many tripods, and I'm curious if your tripod suffered any issues now.
Definitely not.
Okay, I need the name and brand of your tripod, please.
Hold on. I'd have to get that to you later. It's not lying here right in front of me.
Any other questions here? How about on Zoom?
Nothing out here.
Well, those Zoom people just have no questions at all, huh?
Now I have to figure out how to get out of screen sharing mode. Hold on.
Yeah, Spencer can throw you off if he needs to.
Let Spencer throw me off. I could get into it. I can't figure out how to get out of it.
All right. Are you off?
I think so. Hold on.
We still see a screen.
All right. Hang on, let me just. Okay.
There.
Okay. Now I can stop my share.
Oh boy.
Okay. All right.
So
okay,
who's next? It was
we had Everado, who's in person.
Everado and Kelly Rich are both in person.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Who's
Hello.
There you go.
Salutations. It's good to see everybody here. I'm a fairly new member to the Astronomical Society. I was a member in the past, and I'm glad to be back. It's fun to be back. So I was able to go to Texas to go see the eclipse. It was a culmination of a couple of things. I have a brother in Houston, so I decided to kill two birds with one stone and see my brother and see the eclipse. So this is the trip. I took the I-40 from Los Angeles to Houston, and I was able to get a couple of nice pictures along the way. I did most of the driving, so I didn't take as many pictures as I would have liked, but it was still remarkable scenery as I drove through it. Some of these remind me of Cars, Disney's Cars. So the top one reminds me of Radiator Springs. And the I-41 route is a little longer, but I enjoy it. I usually take it when I'm able to drive to Houston. On the way from, the first stop was in Flagstaff, and that was a little stressful because they were about to get a snowstorm. So at 8 a.m., I told my brother, my mom, and my aunt, which I was driving to Texas with, we had to go. I didn't want to get stuck in the snow. So we got out and we drove, and it was a pretty smooth drive up until we got to the middle of New Mexico, and then we got into the middle of a sandstorm. And actually, these pictures are in Texas because we were able to outrun the sandstorm from New Mexico, but we stayed in Amarillo one night and it caught up with us. So this is right upside of Amarillo, the sandstorm that caught up to us. And that's the template for that I'm using. So from Houston, I decided that we would see the eclipse at Buc-ee's. I don't know if any of you have been to a Buc-ee's, but it's a Texas institution. It is a giant gas station, pretty much a Walmart of a gas station. So the little pictures show the interior. The corner one is me with our mascot. I decided it would be a day trip, 3-hour drive from Houston to Ennis. So I decided that Ennis would be the best goal for me because I was a little late in booking my trip to go see the eclipse. So I figured 3-hour drive over, watch the eclipse, 3-hour drive back. That was the idea up until I got advice to watch out with the traffic on the way back. So this was the back of the gas station, and you can see the crowd of cars that just lined up. I wasn't the only one with that idea. But luckily, we were able to park next to the open field on the bottom, which is really nice. I have my nephews in the side. Looks like the bottom one's cut off. No, just on the screen. So at the beginning, it was fairly overcast, and it was fine. I knew we were taking a chance that we might not be able to see the eclipse, but I saw that with the solar glasses, we still could see the eclipse through the clouds, so I figured I'd chance it anyway. So these were pictures I took before at the start of the eclipse, and these are pretty messy. I did this last minute, so bear with me. But these are pictures that I took throughout the eclipse. This is with my cell phone, just shooting through the solar glasses. And then this is the eclipse that I got with my phone. It was, I didn't want to take too much equipment. I didn't want to get distracted with it as being my first totality. So I figured if I have enough, I'll have my phone if I have enough cognizance to take a picture. And these are the ones I took. So that's another one of the totality. And these are pictures that I took of the ground while the totality was going on. And you can see how dark it was. One of the nice things is someone had brought a playlist for the eclipse, and during the totality, they were playing Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone.
That's great.
And right after the totality, they played Here Comes the Sun. So right after there you can see Venus at the top of this one. And let me go back. Right after the totality, I took Tim's advice. I told my nephews, let's go. We already saw the first half, it's gonna be the same. And we did get some traffic, but on the way back, and fairly sleep deprived. We left early that morning and got back late, so. And these are the pictures I took on my return trip from Houston to Los Angeles. I really enjoyed the rock formations. That's the Colorado River in Laughlin, and that's the last one is the Texas sunset, south of Amarillo. So, thank you.
Are there any questions in here? I don't see any. Any questions on Zoom?
Doesn't look like it.
Evidently not. So the only other names on our list are Kelly, Rich, and you.
Well, so it's Kelly and Evan.
Yeah.
And then if we've got about 30 seconds, I just want to share a really quick 16-second video that I took.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'll do that last.
Are you going to do your video last?
Yeah, I'll do my video at the very last.
Okay, go ahead with her. Okay, Kelly's on. Don't feel like you're the only one whose eclipse got away from them.
It seems like it. You can hear me? Hi, I'm Kelly Rich, and my presentation is called The Eclipse That Got Away, The Tracks of My Tears. And I'm going to go back a little bit. I also work in entertainment, like Mr. Michael Jackson, and I work for Sony Pictures Entertainment, so I spent a lot of time working with Sony Japan, and I became just by association a photographer, or departmental photographer, to use my little Sony camera to shoot all of the big Sony cameras, the cinema cameras. At that time we were doing a lot of R&D with 3D and 4K and so on. So needless to say, I had to be walking around with a Sony camera, not the other guys, because the Sony Japanese were there. So I did a lot of photography, but this was my first Milky Way in a workshop in Joshua Tree. And so I started to catch the astro bug, because that was my first astro. Then I heard about Neowise, of course, so I went out to the cow pasture that I think you guys also go to sometimes, and I met the Kern Astronomy Society, so the guys from Bakersfield. Somehow I didn't meet you all, but I met them just by coincidence, and they had their star trackers, and long story short, that's what helped me capture Neowise. It was my first comet, which was 35 shots stacked together, but they let me piggyback on their star tracker, so that's how I was able to do that. So then I caught the bug, and I thought, I want to do something really cool and unusual and moving like that for astro.
but I also had a baby. So time passed, and now he's 4. Jumpstart to Texas. I made a last-minute decision, and because I didn't really know what to do or where to go, I joined the Kern group again. So they told me where they're going, and I stayed with them. This is their setup. They rented a number of RV spaces in Bandera, Texas, outside of San Antonio. And through their telescopes, I could see, for example, I used my camera to photograph through the eye cup on this telescope, and you can see a sun flare there. That's the only sun flare I got. In fact, that's the best picture I got the whole time. But anyway, there was this arts and crafts project involved that I didn't know anything about, but they came prepared with the poster board and the compass like from high school, and the rubber cement like from grade school, and they did a little cutting, and this guy had the solar film that he'd gotten for Christmas because he's so into it. And so I also used my Sony contacts to rent a lens that is this wide at the end, and you'll see that in a minute. So that's our sky the day before. So we sort of thought, this might work. It's going to clear. We can blow it all away. And I was watching them now the day of start to set up all of their gear, all the astronomers and astrophotographers. And that's really exciting to me because I don't know anything about it. But it was fun to be around. And I asked a lot of questions. Actually, I carried that rig in my lap on the way there, but I didn't know what it was. But yeah. And then there's me, and that's the lens that I was able to borrow from Sony because of my longtime Sony connection. It is obviously a Sony 400 millimeter f2.8. It weighs 6 pounds. That is not my tripod. They actually, the Kern guys brought their own sort of tank of a tripod because mine wouldn't hold it. And here's some more setups, including mine down at the bottom there. And they had everything from telescopes to trackers. And they also had the computer software that clicks. It knows when, see, I didn't know anything about this, but it knows when the eclipse is happening, what stage, it knows when to take the picture. So here I was getting ready. I had my glasses on for a few minutes, but basically I didn't need them because we didn't get enough sun to use them. But there it was waiting anyway, and you can see the clouds in the background. They were also getting anxious at this point as we're getting closer to the start. I was given all of this information, which I don't understand, but there it is. And then, yeah, we're getting pretty much at that point. And, you know, I have on my person thousands of dollars of borrowed equipment, and I can't use it, but this is a little bit of what I got, but I wasn't really satisfied in the end with it. But the bottom one, the last one, is as far as we could see. After that, it just became total cloud cover. And then this is when it started to get dark, and I'm just taking a little time lapse with my phone because that's what we all resorted to, just to show the light getting dark and light again. So that's it. But you know, it's the great white whale that got away, and I'm going to keep going back and pursuing it, and you know, maybe that's going to be Egypt. Maybe something sooner, and I'll just keep trying because I think I have a lot to learn, but I am glad I went. So that's it.
Are there any questions?
Quick question.
Yeah.
You had mentioned doing some Milky Way shots in Joshua Tree. Was that with someone named Casey Kiernan?
It was. How did you
Oh,
know?
I've taken several classes from him, both the meteor ones and the Milky
Yeah,
Way ones. We did that
that
shot at the
one.
Arch.
Yes, it was also during a windstorm, so we had to sleep in the car for a few hours because
Okay.
we couldn't get out to get up to the rock, but it cleared just in time.
Okay, well, good. I've
Yeah.
taken some classes from him.
Yes, he's the guy in Joshua Tree, Casey Kiernan. I think it's Joshua Tree Workshop. I don't know what his website is. He's easy to find, but yes, that was my first Milky Way.
Any other questions?
How did the time lapse turn out?
Oh, it did. Yeah, you could see the light change color. I was aiming at the big camera just because I don't know, and it sort of moved just because my hand was moving. But yeah, I didn't include it here. But at least I know I got the part that everybody says is just as good. It gets dark, but I really wanted totality. So I'll just have to find that the next time.
Keep trying.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Evan.
Our next presenter is Evan Renteria. And I will remind you all that Evan is the one who makes all this stuff work down here. So thank you, Spencer, and thank you, Evan. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a meeting.
All right, so mine is a very, very different. It's not going to be about the total solar eclipse. And just this mic. Yeah. So, but it did take place 5 days after the total solar eclipse on my eclipse trip. So I did a 2-week road trip. I went to Texas. I saw the eclipse, 2 seconds of it with Tim. It was awesome. And we joked around and, saw totality. But then on my way back, I said, I need to go up to this place called Chimney Rock National Monument up in southwest Colorado, specifically to observe the major lunar standstill. That's the picture you see on the right side with the moon rising between those two sandstone spires. So I got to observe something. So eclipses happen what, every year? More or less every year and a half or so. This thing happens every 18 and a half years. So it's even more rare. So I was very excited. But to explain to you, because a lot of people don't know what the major lunar standstill is. So we have to start here at Griffith Observatory. So outside, right above us, well, actually above us, is over there on the western side of the building, you have these yellow lines, right? So this is where the sun sets throughout the entire year. So the picture on the left, that's where the sun sets during December solstice. The picture in the middle, that's during the equinox twice a year. I think it's going blank, it's March and September. And then in June, in summer, the sun sets right along the June solstice line on the right. But notice that the picture on the left and the right also contain black lines, 2 of them. And that has to do with the moon. And I never understood what that was for until recently. And everyone that I asked, they say, I don't know what that is. So turns out that is, well, before I get to that, remember that when you see the sun during the June solstice, on the right picture, it'll take 6 months to appear on the December solstice, on the left picture. So the sun goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth every 6 months, right? The moon does this every 2 weeks. So the black lines, they're called the lunar standstill moonset lines. So we mentioned how the sun goes back and forth in every 6 months. Well, there are 2 pairs of lines. The picture on the right, that's the northern lunar standstill. So the line on the right side, that's the major, and the line on the left, that's the minor. And then go to the picture on the left, the southern lunar standstill. The picture on the left is the major, and the line on the left is the major, and the line on the right is the minor. So what does that mean? Well, in between the minor standstill lines, which the arrows are sort of pointing to the minor standstill line, you will see the moon setting along that line. 2 weeks later, it'll set on the other line. And then it goes back and forth every month. The following year, the moon will go a little bit beyond those minor standstill lines. The next year, a little bit more. The next year, a little bit more, a little bit more, until finally, 9 years later, it reaches the major. And then it hangs out there for a year or so, and then it comes back. So we get this motion of the moon called the lunar standstill, and we could observe that. I actually observed it a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like that. So we're in the season right now where there is a major lunar standstill, and there was a very low marine layer, so I could not see the moon naked eye, but with my binoculars I could see it. So what I did, I opened up Sky Safari, and it superimposes the night sky, and you can see the moon setting right on that line. So this was April 28th, just a couple weeks ago. I took the picture at 9:58 in the morning, and moon set was 9:14. So yeah, the Sky Safari actually works. So I wanted to see this at Chimney Rock National Monument, the place that I mentioned in the beginning. But why is this happening? One factor is apsidal precession, if I'm saying that correctly. So just like Michael said, the moon's elliptical orbit rotates once every 8.85 years, right? So that's one factor. The other factor is the lunar nodal precession. This rotates every 18.6 years. And remember that the moon is not perfectly, like the equator of the Earth. The moon is tilted 5 degrees from the equator of the Earth. So that's why the moon appears to go back and forth, back and forth. Have you ever tried to understand the motion of the moon? Don't. It's very complex. So combine those two, and you end up with this. The major lunar standstill, where the moon is, the declination of the moon varies by 28.5 degrees on either side, plus or minus. And during the minor, where the declination of the moon varies between 18.3 degrees plus or minus. And it has to do with, again, the tilt of the Earth and the tilt of the orbit of the moon. So let's travel to New Mexico, where roughly a little over 1,000 years ago, this is called Chaco Culture National Historic Park. This is also known as the ancestral Puebloans that lived over 1,000 years ago there. These are the tallest buildings in North America for 600 years, up until I think the 1800s, when buildings in Chicago started to get built. But yeah, this was occupied from 800 CE to 1100 CE. This is a vast site that I wish to visit soon. So this culture also built the cliff dwellings in Mesa Verde National Park, which I visited on the way back from Texas. So that's my picture on the left of the Cliff Palace and the picture on the right of the balcony house. These are multi-story, 3-floor, like 4-story high buildings where people lived. It's an amazing thing to see. This culture also built this, which is on top of a mountain. It's on a ridge. You can see the ruins on the bottom right. I'm going to put the arrow. Where's my mouse? Right there. You can see the ruins are right there. If you had a list of places to build somewhere, places where not to build something, this is it. There's no water. There's no food. It's totally exposed. Why in the world would you build that there? Well, it turns out these two sandstone spires, if you stand at the ruins here. So we go to the next picture. Well, actually, before we get there, I got there very early because I had to hike up there since it was officially closed. So I cannot access with my vehicle. I had to hike up there. So off in the distance, you do see Chimney Rock, Companion Rock, and where the ancestral Puebloan ruins are. So once you get to the ruins, these are over 1,000 years old, and you stand next to the kiva, which nobody really knows what these were used for, most likely for ceremonies. So remember, the roof is gone because it was made out of wood. And if you look east, you will see Chimney Rock. And I put the time there, 9:34, because I knew that on April 13th, when I was there, that the moon was going to rise between the two sandstone spires. So one of the speculations, or there's a lot of evidence that these ruins were actually a observatory to observe this event. And given that we're in the season of the major lunar standstill and I'm happening to be driving by there, why not stop there and take a look? So the moon was going to be visible in between those spires here at 10:20 in the morning. So at 9:34, I was already up there. So meaning I started my hike an hour and a half before, and I'm already there. I'm ready to go. And the way that I knew, I used a website called mooncalc.org. It superimposes the position of the moon at 10:20 in the morning right there. So that's where it rises. This is where the moon is going to set. And there's the info on the left. And then I also used Peak Finder. You put your location, and it simulates where the moon's going to rise. And sure enough, 10:20, that's where the moon's going to rise, so right between Chimney Rock. So I was confirmed. I did my research. I'm ready to go. So the time comes, well, and then also to verify that I'm going to see this. This is Sky Safari superimposing the moon. And by the way, one thing I don't understand about the moon, why does it have this squiggly path? I have no idea. Anyway, you can zoom in on that. You can see, so the moon will be passing through there. So time is 10:21. Do you guys see the moon? Because I don't. I could not see it. And the clouds were coming too, of course. Even if I zoomed in, the moon is in this picture, and I can't see it. But luckily, I brought my binoculars. So through my binoculars, can you guys see it now? It's extremely dim. The moon, I forgot to mention, was at a very thin crescent. So a waxing crescent, very, 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 very thin. Oh, I'll help you guys out. It's right there. So I was the only one up there, and I started jumping and cheering, and of course, that I saw this. But there we go. So
it was right after the eclipse, yeah?
5 days after. Yeah. So there it is. I saw it. So if you want to see this, I highly recommend you guys visit places like this. But and then just to confirm, there's the moon with Sky Safari. It's right down. Where is it? Right there. So yeah, I guess the best thing would be to come during the December solstice and see the full moon rising between the spires. But we're going to come back. Oh, and obviously that's me, ready to go back down. And yes, the moon is in there. It's right there, just to confirm. So we're going to come back to Griffith Observatory because we're going to talk about what Laura May loves to do here. She loves to speak about this arc thing that we have right out at the exit here. This is called the Gottlieb Transit Corridor. That is the Meridian Arc. And in the left picture, it is our friend Bruce Paget explaining local noon. You can see the sun transiting right here, so it tells you the exact date. But you could also use this at nighttime. Most people don't use this at nighttime. And Dr. Krupp recently had the lens up here cleaned because since we're on the major standstill time, he wants moonlight to go through that, and sure enough, we saw the major standstill, moonlight passing on top of the lunar markings on the floor here. So something that I've never seen, and this happened actually during the last star party. So while you guys were busy looking to telescopes, I ran down there to see this. So this was March 17, 7:49 p.m. So this was the transit of the moon of 7:49 p.m. If you guys want to see the next one, come back May 25th, Saturday, 7:08 a.m. The moon will set on the major lunar standstill line on the left, right there. So you have to be here early in the morning. I think the moon will be at a waxing gibbous phase, so very low in the horizon. Hopefully, it won't be cloudy. And then the picture on the right, that's the Chimney Rock National Monument painting that they have there. It's pretty cool. But anyway, just wanted to share that.
Is the park open at 7:08 in the morning?
It opens at sunrise. So, yeah. I think Spencer is next. Oh, and this is the pictures that I use. Give people credit, I guess. There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any questions here? Uh-oh, we have a question. You got to use the mic so people in the thing can hear.
Okay. Start with Victoria.
All right, a couple questions.
Uh-oh.
All of that website stuff you found, those 2 websites where you were tracking the moon, did you start using them because you were preparing for this?
Yes.
and like going down to look at the moonlight, you're like moon mind.
I had been looking at that for like 2 months, so I already knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And
But
I
like
found
preparing for the eclipse, you're like,
oh yeah, I factored that in. I knew that I'm on my way back. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to happen. I have to go.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Any questions on Zoom? Oh,
like
we have a question here.
Nassir had a question.
Nassir has a question. Spencer is next, so he's waiting.
So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. I learned something about this major minor moon standstill. It sounds pretty complicated, but you said something that it happens every 18 and a half years. So I guess it's basically same thing as Saros cycle.
Saros cycle, if I remember, is
the eclipse. Every eclipse repeats after exactly 18 years, 1 month, and
I forget what the period is of the Saros cycle off the top of my head.
18 years.
But this is 18.6, so I'm sure there's some connection there.
Saros is 18 years, 1 month, and 8 hours, or something like that.
Yes.
So I thought and it has to do with the same cycle. So
more than likely, I don't know. I try to understand the movement of the moon, and I was like, forget this.
There's something to me to figure out that. Okay, thank you.
Also depends on the nodes.
Yeah, and I think we had one more question.
Have you used the Photo Pills app, or does anybody use that?
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Because I look at it all the time, but I can't understand it. But it's along the lines of what you were showing there. It has the 3D super.
Oh, it's like the. Yeah. Oh, my thing ended here. So anyway,
I had a question.
Sure.
Were you being facetious that you didn't know what this?
No, I actually don't know what that is.
Okay.
If you know, please tell me, because I've asked people and they're like, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm curious. Originally, when I started giving the local noon talks, and I was mentioning Chimney Rock, and Dr. Krupp and I spoke about it, and he was like, "Well, it's debatable whether or not it is." Did you speak to him more about it? I'm just curious. Okay, because I see your point on like what else, like the fact that it's positioned, that this is there and it's exposed, but yeah, I'm curious as to like the relevant or how certain it is that it is.
Well,
for that purpose.
The National Park Service is running a full touchdown with this.
Yeah.
They built a new visitor center, which it's opening next week. So
cool.
They're all about it.
Are you going to go back?
I hope so.
I want to.
I want to go. I think anything else?
It's 9:40, so
Spencer needs to. Yeah.
We should.
All right, Spencer,
get
go
ready
for it.
Be really
quick.
Okay. So I'm just going to share a video that I made. I was in Uvalde, Texas, and we're completely clouded out to the point where you didn't even need solar filters to see the sun at all. So, but I put my DSLR to my telescope, and I captured this. If you can hear the audio.
We don't hear any.
You don't hear any audio? Okay. All right, hang on just 1 second. Let me replay that with the audio, because this is, to me, that's worth that's worth everything. That made the audio made the entire experience for me. Rats. Okay, well, I'll just show it again. I can't get the audio to play, but let me just play the screen one more time. Okay, hang on. So that's my total eclipse experience. But you can see through the clouds, you can see the eclipse coming through right there. Okay.
Oh boy.
All right.
Okay, it's door prize time. So we'll our plan is to give out 8 altogether, 4 inside and 4 Zoom. So let's do 2 here while Spencer gets everybody ready to do
So-
the door prizes on Zoom.
Yeah, has everybody on Zoom gotten the link? I posted it several times. So I'm going to close out the drawing session for right now. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to go ahead and finish entering the link.
Does everybody in here have a ticket? If you don't, rush on down here and get one fast. Sorry, only one per customer. Unless, of course, you're willing to make a large donation to the Los Angeles Astronomical Society.
Let me know when you're ready and we'll get started.
Okay, now
Get your tickets out, folks.
Now I need to remind myself what the door prizes are going to be.
A lot of lasers.
So our first door prize is going to be a Celestron Skymaster 15 by 70 binoculars.
Wow. Okay. I got to mention, we did find this little Dobsonian thing that holds all of our tickets at our Garvey Ranch. And it works better than what I had before. So here we go. The winning number is 833-4839. 4839. Do we have a winner somewhere? There's got to be. 833-4839. You just won some binocs.
Oh boy, now you're going to have to give me your name and contact info.
Here you go. You can write it right over here, and I got a pen.
Okay. So we can get the binoculars to you.
Should we do all of them here first, and then do the Zoom ones? And
Yeah, go ahead.
Just do one more here.
Okay.
And then we'll do 2 on Zoom. And the next prize is a green laser. You know, they're useless.
833-4847. All right, come on down. Right over here. Andrew got it. Looks like Andrew. Did you win it? Yes, 4847. I'll check it.
There's
That's
your
the winner.
fabulous green laser.
Remember, when you turn them on, there's a charger in there, but always point them away from you when you turn them on, please.
Okay, so Spencer, are you ready to give away
Sure.
a prize on Zoom?
Yeah, I'm ready. So here, let me share screen. So let's see, here we go. So Tom Hendricks is the first one.
Okay, he won an LAAS online store item.
Okay, and
Now, did you are you able to keep track of the? Should I keep track of the names? Are you doing that, or is Alicia doing that?
I got it.
okay.
Okay.
All right, and then the next one is Mike Gardner.
And Mike won a map of the moon.
All right.
So we'll do 2 more in here, and then
Thank
2
you.
more on Zoom, and we'll be done. So we're going to give away another laser in here.
And the winning number is 833-4842. Right there. Come on down. You're a winner.
Oh boy.
Come on down, please. I just need to confirm the ticket. Enjoy it. Thank you. That's the winner.
And we'll give away 1 more, and this will be an Observer's Sky Atlas.
And the winning number is 833-4849. 4849. Who won that one?
Aha.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to need you to write your contact information so we can get the Sky Atlas to you. Oh, wait.
Unless Alicia can do it on, she's online, so maybe she can just, oh, no, you still
Yeah,
need
she
it
doesn't
there.
have this.
Right,
so
okay,
yes,
go ahead
let's-
and just write it down there for us, please.
Okay, and so that's it for the door prizes indoors.
Okay, let me just do.
And we'll do 2 more on Zoom.
Okay,
Go ahead, Spencer.
So, all right. So let's see. Eric?
Eric wins an Eclipse book.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Next one is David.
And David wins a red flashlight.
All right, those are fun.
And that's it for the door prizes. I have put in a request for next month's meeting to be in the planetarium, where Dave Nakamoto will take us on a tour of the worldwide sky. But whether or not we'll be able to do it, I don't know, because I don't know if David's back is well enough, and I haven't got word from Mark Pine yet that we can actually do it, but I'm working on it.
Will we be able to show that on Zoom too?
No, that will not be Zoomable. You will have to be here in person for the meeting.
Yeah, it's something that you don't want to miss. We literally everyone gets lost because we don't know southern constellations.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more picture sharing. I think my friend Patty up there wanted to share some pictures really quick. We have 10 minutes if you want to come down, and I have your pictures.
What time will you
I don't know.
So here, just put this on. It's already ready to go.
Is it ready?
Hold on, not yet. Hold on, let me go. So this is just a quick. So you're gonna have to just go right, and that's what the audience sees.
Okay. All right, so I feel like I was on the Price is Right because I just won the binoculars and I was coming down, like getting the prize. Sorry. But anyway, so I went to the first eclipse on 2017, and because Evan, he encouraged me to, and so I drove from LA to Madras by myself, and I met Gio there. So I spent it with him, and he showed me everything. So that was very cool. I was hooked. So I planned to go this time also. So it was a bunch of friends. We got together. So everybody, I think it was like 3 people just from Texas. Everybody else was from somewhere else. And so we're getting ready to leave on this picture. And then one of the people, they were driving on an RV, so it was just a bunch of people. When we got there, what was the name of the place?
Where?
Where we saw it.
Yes,
Lampasas. Yeah. Okay, so we got there and we were looking for parking, but they were charging like $50, $80, so we just parked at Walmart. And so that's where we were. And we just parked there, and then like we had a place to pee, and we bought snacks and all that stuff. Sorry, can I say pee? I'm sorry. So this was the picture when we got there. So it was like clear skies. And then this is a picture that a passerby took from us. This is the picture that I took that I wanted to take a before and after. So this was the light. And then there's one after where you can see how dark it got. And then this is when like it all started. And this was when it was just getting a little bit darker.
That's a video if you want to go back.
Oh.
It's loading. There you go. Oh, it's a 5-second video.
Oh, okay. I think it was just the light picture. So this is how dark it got. It didn't get like the pictures in Mazatlan where it was darker. So compared to the other one, this is the before, and this is the after. And then this was just us. And so it started to get cloudy, so we were worried, but it was just the cloud on top passing by. And so what you see on the line that I drew, that was like totality time. So literally it just opened up for us. We got really lucky. So that was the, we did get to see like most of it. I think it was 4 minutes. We got like 3 minutes. Because it was just at the beginning, it was in the clouds, but it cleared out like magically for us. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And so this is the video. I don't know if it's loading, but I took a video when it was happening. And at the end, you can see that the skies had actually cleared out for us. Oh, there you go.
We still got like 2 minutes!
So see that there's no clouds? Clear sky. So that was the totality, so it opened up for us. And when I was in Madras, there were a lot of animals, and so it was crazy because like the birds were like flying real quick, and then the dogs were barking, and the cats were meowing, and this time we had dogs with us, and so I was just like, everybody was like hanging around, whatever. I was just paying attention to the dogs, and then they didn't do anything. So that was just my story. So I just wanted to share. Thank you. And thank you for the binoculars.
Got 5 minutes. Okay.
If it's okay, I'm going to share my video one more time. I got to work with the audio. So should be sharing it. Let's see. Stop sharing. Make sure. Here we go. Okay. Do you hear that now?
Come on, there's one. Look. It's over there. Hey! Oh my god, I got chills a little bit. Oh. So dark. Come on, there's one. Look. It's over there. Hey! Oh my god, I got chills a little bit. Oh.
Okay.
Exciting. Thank you.
That was
Awesome.
exciting.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for thank you all the presenters. It's great.
We have to get out of here like quickly.
Okay, so
The
I'm going to
death
stop.
penalty comes at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And don't forget, the Star Party starts at 2 o'clock Saturday. And make sure you have your passes in your cars. And yes. Okay. And we're here till we have to be packed out here by 9:30. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to leave the Zoom session open for the next 15 or 20 minutes if people want to hang around and chat. But I'm going to stop the YouTube recording.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.